Yes, Friday Facebook session with GrowTraffic. Hello, Hannah Wineold.
Hello.
You're 1 year older, aren't you, since we last did one of these? Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Hello, Simon Daly.
Hello.
Okay, right. Today we are talking about attracting the right web traffic to your website. So how do you do it? So we have 5 top tips for you. Don't forget, we're on the new improved speedy FFS. So we're going to give you 5 top tips. We're going to explain them, and we're going to be off by 5:30. What's the title?
Friday Facebook session, Dally.
Not that one, move on.
Attracting the right web traffic to your website.
Okay, let me write that down.
Okay, this is what we're talking about. Are we ready? Tip 1, focus on social media following. Tip 2, focus on the right channels for your business and your audience. Tip 3, clearly define your target audience. So know who you are trying to target. You can't get the right people if you don't know who you're targeting. Tip 4, answer the questions your customers are asking. If you've been on my Better Blogging course, you will know that I say that every 30 seconds. Answer the questions your customers are asking. And tip 5, create better content than your competitors. It's not hard, is it? It's not rocket science. So let's go. How do we explain this? Hannah,
answer the problems your customers are asking.
No, we get to that one.
That doesn't make sense.
Answer the questions your customers are asking.
Yeah, not answer the problems.
No, Dally, you do realise that we're live.
Yes, yes.
Number 1, Rachel. Remind me of number 1.
How do you focus your social media following? What are the main tips that people need to remember?
Right, so this is about not inviting all your mates and all your parents' mates and all your mates' mates and all your nan's mates to follow you on Facebook unless they are your target audience. Because the way the social algorithms work is the people who interact are the people that your content gets pushed out to. So if you have all your mates following you and you are a 35-year-old woman in the northwest of England, for example, and all your mates are similar, then your content is going to get pushed out to them if all your mates follow you. But if your target audience is, I don't know, 11-year-old boys who've got pocket money to spend on tech or whatever, then they're not going to see your content because your followers are wrong. So don't think that all followers are as valuable to you as each other. Can anyone explain that succinctly?
Yeah, there was that thing, wasn't there, at the start of lockdown. I don't know if you remember it, but there was a big thing. Everyone was going, oh, help your small business friends out. So invite everybody on your friends list to like this business, and then tell them to invite everybody on their friends list to invite them. And that'll help the small business profiles. Well, it did in the fact that they got lots of numbers. You know, you might gain 200 people following you. But the way that the Facebook in particular algorithms work is that if you have hundreds of people who are on your page, but they are not engaging with you, Facebook will assume that your content is shit. So it will stop showing it to people. So it's not about the numbers. It's better to have 5 people on your page who are really engaged and are your target audience who are likely to buy your products than it is to have 500 people that actually only followed you because, you know, Auntie Janice bullied them into it at the start of lockdown. You know, use a bit of common sense. Facebook has now, LinkedIn also has it. I think Twitter's coming with it. On their analytics, they have a metric that will show you your engagement level as opposed to, so that's the metric that you need to follow. It's how many people are engaged as opposed to pure numbers. Dali, anything to add on that front?
No, not really. I think that, you know, you can also use advertising to build a relevant kind of follower base. It's sometimes okay to have some of your friends on there. They, you know, if you've got a handful of your friends on there and they're really engaged with what you're doing, but then you actively build a kind of follower base using advertising and things like that, then it should counterbalance it.
Absolutely. We're not saying don't have your friends on there. If your friends are your target audience, if you are a 35-year-old woman in the Northeast and you run a hen party business, then absolutely have your bloody friends on it, all of them, because they are your target audience. But yeah, it's about being a bit strategic, isn't it? So that leads us on to our next
question. Can I just say, sorry. Yeah. So the reason that that's important for getting the right traffic on your website is because, as with every good content marketing and digital strategy, you'll be posting the content off your website to drive traffic to your website. So your social media channel is a kind of vehicle for getting people onto your website who are engaged and likely to click inquire here or buy here or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The social media amplification.
Like Rachel said, everything's got to be strategic, isn't it? So
yeah,
you've always got to be asking yourself, does this match my objectives? Does getting all of my friends on actually help me reach my objective?
Absolutely. Okay, question 2. Point 2, sorry. Focus on the right channels. So, Simon Daly, what does this mean? Focus on the right channels.
Understand what type of business. This is about objectives as well, I suppose. Delivering your actual marketing objectives. So, understanding where your customers are going to be, understanding the type of content that you need to provide.
Someone phoning you?
Yeah. Understand the type of content that you need to provide for those kind of potential customers are going to want to engage with, and put it in the right place. It's no good just going out on Facebook, for example, if you're a really niche B2B business, you're probably not going to find the right people.
Yeah, people always say to us all the time, in fact, somebody said it to me the other week, Facebook is not where our customers are. Now, there are umpteen billion people on Facebook. Your customers are there, but it's about what are they looking for and what are they engaging with when they are there. It's not that it's not where they are, it's are you what they're looking for at that point. And I always say to people, it's better to focus your energy on, for example, one social media platform and do that well, rather than trying to scattergun yourself across all of them and, be on 6 and do all of them shitly.
But those people that say my customers aren't on Facebook, they're probably right in a way, because, some of those you might say, well, actually, come back to Facebook later once you've got, your other things. And I wasn't just thinking about social media channels. I was thinking about things like paid advertising and things like that. So things like PPC, where you can actually target somebody when they've got the intent of making a buying decision.
Yeah. Hannah, anything to add?
No, you've said it all. Yeah, just do a couple well.
Is it snowing in Sheffield, Hannah?
No, it's stopped.
Oh, has it stopped?
Still snowing here. Snowing in Bacup.
Still snowing, but.
Anyway, question 3, point 3, which actually probably we should have done as point 1, but clearly define your target audience. Hannah, why is that important?
Because if you don't know to whom you're talking, you don't know how to target them. Like, it's so obvious. It is so obvious that it's overlooked so often. So we'll speak to people and we'll say, who's your target audience? And they'll go, well, anybody. Everybody needs trousers or whatever. But there is a very specific 1 or 2 types of people that will use your product. And especially if you're bringing a new product into market, clearly defining who your target audience are at the outset will pay dividends, because you'll be able to speak to them directly in a tone that they understand. You'll be able to target where they are. You'll not be scattergunning as much. So it can be a bit daunting to narrow down your target audience to a kind of handful of attributes. But this is where personas are really useful and interesting, because you can have a couple of, 5 or 6 different personas if you wanted, a couple of personas to whom you're speaking directly. So it's, if you don't know where you're going, you can't get there, and speaking directly to one or two or three types of people will draw the right traffic onto your website.
It's all like when you're networking and people always say to you, you know, be specific, because we say that when people say like, oh, who is your target audience at GrowTraffic? It's like, well, it's anyone with a business. And then you go, oh yeah, well, I know lots of people with businesses. But if you say, actually, today I want to talk to marketing managers, people will go, oh, I do know a marketing manager. Or if you say, I want to speak to, you know, people who have manufacturing businesses that have about 20 employees and they've got a website that's 15 years old, then they'll go, oh, you know, I do know that. Yeah, I know somebody like that. That's who I can do it. And it's exactly that thing, isn't it? If you can... Yeah. If you can narrow it down so that you can be specific, you can then target your messaging. You then are more likely to get a message that's going to resonate with somebody because they're going to see themselves reflected in that, and they will go, oh, yeah, you know, rather than just saying, you know, everybody needs shampoo. It's, well, you've got really dry hair, or are you suffering with dandruff, or does your hair break really easy, or is it, you know, be really specific on your audience and messaging, and then it gets through. How do people start to do this? How do you start to narrow down who your target audience is?
And you've got to be, well, first of all, you can go on analytics and see who's using your website. You can go on Facebook as well and social media channels and see what sort of people are using your, engaging with you already. But the people that are currently engaging with you might not necessarily be the ones that you actually want. So you do a kind of exercise where you think about the customer, your ideal customer. Who is your ideal customer? And stereotypically, who is that person? So if you're going to say, I want to only be speaking to company directors, there's tons of information out there that tell you the gender, the age, the background, the ethnicity, the economic status of different types of people in different job roles. So you'll be able to find that. But I mean, anyone who's, you know, half a brain can take a punt that they're going to be kind of 50 plus white males, or at least 50 plus males. So, you know, you can kind of take a punt, but also think about who do you actually want to work with? Like, who do you desire, rather than who's going to make you the most kind of money? Because if you can target the target audience rather than the people that are already kind of sitting there receptive to it, then your business is going to be a lot more successful because you're introducing it into a new market.
Yeah, that's growing it rather than just talking to us. I mean, we do, when we're doing buyer personas for our customers, we go really specific. You know, you give them a name, and then it also helps with your content and everything, because then you've got a person in mind, especially if you've got sort of multiple people creating content, you can all be targeting the same person. But, you know, we give them a name, we say this is where they go on holiday, this is what kind of sofa they've got, this is what kind of car they drive, this is how many children, this is where in the country they live, this is the type of newspaper they read. You know, create a person.
Yeah.
It makes it real then, and then it means it as well, if you are talking to a real life person who you can picture, you're going to have a much more human message again, and you're going to be able to drill down and go, all right, these are the problems that this person's going to be experiencing, so I'm going to be able to talk to them about that.
And then the other thing is, don't feel like you've created a persona and you're targeting one target audience and that's it. You have henceforth excluded all the other target audiences and all the other people forever and ever, amen. Like, you haven't. You can concentrate your activity on one particular facet of your audience for a specific amount of time. You might say, right, I'm going to talk to these people for a year or 6 months or whatever, and then I'm going to switch it up. So, you know, it's not a process of exclusion. It's just narrowing it down so that your messaging is really targeted and you're always pulling the people that you actually want onto your website.
Yeah, and going back to the point before, you know, focusing on the right channels as well. You can have multiple personas. A business can have as many personas as it wants. So, you know, you could say, right, on Facebook, we know we're talking to our end customer, and that's mainly going to be women. Whereas on LinkedIn, we're talking to business owners, and that's mainly going to be men. So you can have different audiences for different platforms, and then again, it's all about that targeting and going niche, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have clearly lost Ali. So I mean, he was boasting before about how good the house Wi-Fi was. So, I feel quite vindicated there. Anyway, point number 4, answer the questions your customers are asking. I cannot say this enough. Go on, Hannah, tell us about that.
Well, you go then, because this is your shtick, isn't it? Go on.
Well, I mean, as I was said at the beginning, if you've ever been on the Better Blogging course or even the social media course, you'll know this is just the thing that I say about every 30 seconds. The internet, search engines, they are all about questions. If you think about how you use a search engine, whether it be a question on your laptop, or you're talking into your phone, or you're screaming at your Alexa from across the kitchen, you are asking it questions. That's what we do with search engines. So it's all about questions and answers. What you have got to do, if you want your content to get in front of people and your messaging to get in front of people, is you have got to work out what are the questions my customers are asking and then answer them. And sometimes it is as much about, you want people on your website finding out the answers to questions rather than being on somebody else's website. So sometimes it might not even be directly, linearly related to a product you're trying to sell, but it'll be around your subject and around your area and around your industry. And it's just about, ask and answer those questions. Hannah, where do people find out what the questions are that people are asking?
Google. So you can start to type a query in, and it will tell you all the questions that people also ask. So, for example, if you sell tea, you could type in best type of tea for, and then it will try and auto-fill it, try and guess what you're saying. And then if you clicked on, I don't know, warming you, old people, I don't know, I can't think of a party, then it'd give you kind of all different types of questions that people have asked that are similar. So
I love that game as well. Even if you don't get many content titles out of that game, you'll have a bloody good laugh, because the things that people suggest are just bonkers, aren't they?
The best one I ever had was, how can I make my employees lactate more? So it's been a really successful strategy.
I had a good one the other day. It was, do the Tories have, and I was trying to search for, do the Tories have a National Executive Council like the Labour Party have? And it was all things like satanic rituals. Yeah, it was. Like, do the Tories have brains? The Tories have personalities. Like, oh my God.
Oh, brilliant. So yeah, there's that, and then there's answer the public, which kind of amalgamates a lot of these questions. So you could type in your keyword. So say your keyword is tea, and if you typed in tea, then it'd give you loads of different queries that people ask related to tea. So what, questions, how, where, when, all different positions.
Simon Daly, welcome back.
I've not gone anywhere. I've been here all this time.
No, we couldn't see you.
We couldn't see you. Okay. Anything to add, Daly, on answer the questions that your customers are asking?
Answer the questions that your customers are asking. No.
Okay, good.
Can I do a 4B?
Yeah.
So as well as answering the questions that your customers are asking, so you would do this by blogs on your website primarily, but you also might use FAQs. You could do it as question and answer videos on your website, on your socials and things like that. But yeah, primarily. Pardon?
Or something like this.
Or something like this, yeah. But primarily, written for now. So do it on your own website, but also get your kind of knowledge and skills and general sparkling brilliance out onto the wider web and promote yourselves on other people's websites using genuine articles that backlink. So it's a bit like PR really, but you're answering questions that your target audience are asking. So instead of waiting for your target audience to come to you, you're going to them and kind of forcing yourself into their face and saying, I have an answer to your question. And not only does it broaden your reach, so it makes it so that you're just getting out to a wider audience, you're finding your audience where they dwell and you're going to them, but also it supports the general rankings of your website.
Mm-hmm. topic as well, just to say a similar thing really, but it's a really good place to do this is in kind of Facebook forums. So find forums that are related to the subject that you do or the thing that you sell, join those groups and start to shape the content in those forums by being an answer, you know, where people are always posting in, does anyone have the answer to such and such thing? If you can jump in every time and have an answer, you become an expert and people will start coming to you then. It also gives you things, if every time you see one of those, you think, right, I'm going to write a blog about that because that's obviously a question people have got. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and there's other forums as well. Like,
think about this. I know we often think about this from the perspective of blogging, but it really does cover every element of marketing as well. So you know, all the copy that you'd create for advertising and every single page of your website should be a kind of a problem and solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. People forget that about their web content. You web content, it so often fills me with horror because you just see people waffling on about how amazing they are and the company and what have you. And as a person, you know, as a consumer that doesn't know anything about them, you land on a website. You think, well, what the hell do you actually do though? How are you going to help me? How are you going to solve my problem? You know, I don't care if you started the business in 1975 and you now run it with your son. Like, what does that mean to me? You know, yeah. Absolutely. Every web page should be still asking and answering questions. Absolutely. Okay. Well, time is marching on. Point 5, create better content than your competitors. Seems simple, Dali.
Yes. Was that you asking me a question?
Well, yeah. Okay. I'm asking, you answer the questions that your public are asking.
Let's have a thing. So the old kind of 10 times better mantra that Moz kind of came out with 10 years ago, which was all for SEO, kind of how do you outrank your competitors with content? And the first place to start was always how can you create the same, you know, a piece of content about the same topic or subject, but do it so much better? How can you make it 10 times better than what they've done? And that's like a rough rule of thumb that I think is really useful to stick to. And also the other thing is that lots of marketers will talk about the value of creating really quality content, or, you know, having smaller amounts of output, but they're really well thought about. And there's some merit to that. However, volume of content that you put out when compared to your competitors is going to help. You know, you can do more than they do, better than they do it, then you'll probably attract more customers.
But this is the thing, yeah, that's true, but don't just put out content for the sake of it. Make sure that all your content is answering a question, it's solving a problem, it's adding something to the experience of the visitor on your website, because, you know, yeah, you can just chuck out content, but it needs to have a purpose. It needs to be pulling in the right customers. So have a strategy, do your research, make sure that what you're writing is relevant to your audience, that your audience is clearly defined. Don't just chuck a load of shit up on your website.
I think when people say, how do I make my content better than my competitors' content, put some bloody personality into it. There is so much content out there that you can tell it's either been written by a content agency or it's been written by somebody that is just trying to meet, you know, I've got to churn out a blog a week, so let's put any old crap out there. Don't do that. It's better to put out fewer pieces of good quality content than just churn out shit. But also, you know, express some personality, put some pictures in it, talk about, you know, things around it, talk about case studies, talk about what does it mean. I always say talk about the so what, you know. Yeah. So you've got the best night face cream, well so what does that mean to the end customer? What difference is that going to make to them? Take it a step further and just improve it. It doesn't have to be better in terms of it, you know, it has to be written in brilliant English, although good English is the kind of base standard. It doesn't have to be better in that it has to have, you know, Hollywood production videos, or it has to have degree level graphic design work attached to it. It just needs to be a bit bloody interesting and have some personality.
Yeah.
Okay. So that we're 27 minutes. Look at that. We're almost on time. So that's it. Those are the top 5 tips. How do you attract the right web traffic to your website. Number one, you focus on your getting the right social media following. Number two, you focus on using the right channels for your website and your industry. Number three, you clearly define your target audience. Number four, you answer the questions your customers are asking. And number five, you create better content than your competitors. Easy peasy. There we go.
Well, there is a way that this can be easy peasy for you. So we do an audit which gives you your target audience based on data. It gives you a content calendar that you can work from. It tells you which channels you need to be posting on, and it's normally £500. But if you have watched all the way to the end of this Friday Facebook session, then you can have it for £400 if you say jingle bells. Just the word jingle bells.
You have to sing jingle bells. Hannah says you can just say jingle bells or type jingle bells. But if Simon Daly says if you sing the whole of jingle bells at us,
with a video and a dance and a silly hat.
Oh yeah, if you do all that, you can have it for free.
Have it for free. There you go. Sing us jingle bells.
But the hat has to be sufficiently silly.
That's available throughout December. That's it. We're off. Thank you very much for joining the new improved FFS. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Bye.
Bye.